When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host, guests, and callers who are responsible for their content and do not reflect the opinions of N-Touch Radio or its staff.
Good morning. Listen, I know for the last couple of weekends you've been working Saturday morning and not get to hear me say to you, yes, it is indeed a good morning. I'm back in the saddle. For a couple of weeks, I had some family matters to tend to and get everything ready for the fall, but I am back and excited to be here. If you think if something happens in 1 week, well, in 2 or 3, it's like the world goes crazy. If I'm not here on Saturday morning to put some parameter stability and perspective to this. Like I send out these text messages all the time, and at the bottom I'll just say, just for perspective, but to help me, because I would assume that I would be over exuberant and go way out of bounds if I didn't have some parameters today. So I am happy to have my co-host in studio with me, Professor Tony Seabrook. Good morning, Professor. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad to be here because
that you are glad to be here. I mean, I could just start from the top and roll off from there, but there's just so much going on, and you just feel the, I guess, the political season starting to kick into shape. We're starting to see, kind of how this thing might go, and particularly from the Republican side, and the Democrat side too, unless something crazy happens. But we had the second debate this week, Professor, the Republican debate, the second debate. And I know a lot of times people, it's tough for you to watch it. I make sure I watch. Just so I'm informed, because I don't want to end up. There is a possibility, in events that a Republican could win. It's possible. It may not be likely or expected or desired, but it's possible. So I don't need to know who these cats. I don't want
Vivek Ramaswamy.
All right, then V. We don't want some guy like that to win, and then we don't know who he is. So
exactly.
I make sure I watch the debates. I make sure I watch the post-debate discussion. And I thought that was just sneaky what they did with bringing in Newsom on the back end of that thing. They shouldn't have did that to the Republicans. But they did. Fox News. Gotta love them. So, but you saw the education debate, do it all.
I did. And it was difficult to watch. And it was out of obligation to you that I watched it. And so I'll put that up front. And oftentimes I found myself turning the volume down because they continued to talk over each other. It was just horrible. It was boring. It was like watching the B team.
Okay,
this is second string, definitely. Everyone's playing for second place because we know who the first place guy is, so we don't have to have that discussion. And they made that clear.
Yeah.
Because the playbook was bash Trump, but don't embarrass Trump. Now, Chris Christie took it a bit further. It came out, and he worked on that all week, I'm sure. He couldn't wait to say Donald Duck. And you can see when he said it, he was looking around. Like I just said something here. He got a bit of an applause, and I've seen that Donald Duck thing.
Well, let me ask you about the So what did you expect going into the debate? Let's start with that.
I expected what I saw. I mean, everyone's playing for second place. And I do have the poll here. I'll wait to upset you with these poll numbers. But
one thing I appreciate though is Professor. A lot of cats just you're standing behind a pickup truck with a ball game, and they'll just come in at me, and I'm like, you might want to do your research first. You always come amped up, ammo down, ready to go, swinging from the hip with some actual backup, which I appreciate. A couple of things. Let me say this about the debate. It's kind of like when I go to the doctor. I don't think about, how the doctor look, how they communicate, did he come across well, and how do I feel about him afterwards. I really focus on the information. I try to focus, did I get what I needed to make my medical decisions? And I try that with my politicians. I try to elevate it to a cerebral level of, okay, what are they saying? Do the things that they say make sense? can I trust and believe in what they're saying, and can they do those things that they're saying? So I'm listening to actually hear you talk about what you're going to do maybe and how you would handle things. I thought too often, too many of them never got to their own agenda. They were too busy doing what you heard Christy say, trying to make a soundbite, because they know that for the most part right now it's still a popularity contest, and they got to play. They got to play to second place long enough, though. So, but anyway, you got your, that was my take on it, though.
But I like that point, and I love a lot of your sayings. You remind me you're Obama light, LTE. Because there is a stat in healthcare that patients feel better when they can go online and actually see their doctor or see the person they're going to be.
Yeah.
So there's something about that visual representation.
Right.
Historically, when we look at stats of what a leader is, and you can go back to that old one, the great leader, there's that physical appearance, tall, nice looking people tend to do better, blah, blah, blah. The B team, it was what I expected to hear, and it was what I expected to see everybody putting on. So you had to put your best foot forward, but you also had to look tough, because Trump's a tough guy. So I can't come up here, and that's what I saw with, and I'm just going to jump ahead to Tim Scott. And I want to say I love Tim Scott, not like in a bromance type thing. I don't want to come. I just don't know if I love him as a politician. I like him a lot.
But he's unattached. So
I'm not even going to play into that.
But we hadn't seen her yet. She's out there.
His mom was in back of the moderator. I thought that was interesting. But anyway, Tim was trying to play that, to me, an Obama-like role, but he had to still assert himself, and I don't think he did well. It looked like he was putting on. I think he's a very intelligent guy. He's very articulate, but he doesn't have what Obama had. He doesn't have that charisma that carries him over. I mean, you need to make your point, but you need to also look like you didn't make up that point.
I saw Obama this week, and he was at some school speaking. And Obama walks out, and he says, and they giving out, some of the other speakers had gotten like a gift bag, and they didn't give one to Obama. So Obama walks out, he goes, "Who's got my swag?" Right? Who's got my swag? But just the subtlety, it just seems so authentic. And
right.
I don't get from Tim Scott, he's totally comfortable with his position,
right,
and or who he is. And this is an issue for a lot of black folks. I suffer from it somewhat.
That's a good point.
The society expects so much out of us in so many situations. And you feel the obligation to meet those expectations, to impact the community, to make a difference, to change things, as opposed to just flow. And so sometimes it comes across with a little bit of an edge. And he came across like a little bit of an edge. And I thought this was Fox did this too many times. They seem to pigeonhole the Hispanic moderator, and then we got Scott talking about the race issue and slavery.
Right.
There's something, and I thought he put in the best context of it. Now he goes too far, though.
Yeah,
he goes too far sometimes.
There's not even I can agree that it's not racist.
There are issues of race in America. There's issue of race in the world. And to try to make America some anomaly to that with our history, I don't think it's fair. But we'll leave that where it is. Now let's get your polling though. You got some polling numbers. In fact, let me ask you before you get to the numbers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your feelings about the various candidates. Mm-hmm. I tell you, the more I see Nikki Haley, the more I like Nikki Haley.
As hard as this is to say, I'm still going to say number 2 is going to be DeSantis. He is not charismatic, so that's not a conversation to have about DeSantis. He's unlikable. He's almost Jeb Bush-like in as far as his personality. He's flat, but he's good. He's done well for the state of Florida. I mean, you can poke at him, and he's done well for the state of Florida. He listed those stats. I didn't know that the state of Florida was number 1 in jobs for the biggest states or whatever it was. But he listed some stats. No one took him to task on it. So, and I didn't see anyone with the whole lie check, whatever they do, fact check that. So I think those stats stood for themselves. Nikki Haley, yes. I just don't think so. I don't know if she can get. I don't know how well she'll do outside of South Carolina with the African American vote. It's not like Trump.
She's got a bonus up her sleeve. She took down the Confederate flag.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay.
So she's got some. She can call that. You can use that when she needs to.
But
so I'll do the practical things when it comes to race, when it makes sense to do them.
And I know that touched you because you tell the story about how you thought.
I fought that flag big time, man.
But the statues you thought.
The statue,
But here's the thing about that. Being from Columbia, South Carolina, my mother worked at that state capitol.
Okay.
And so when all the hoopla came out about that flag, I called my mom and I was like, where is that flag? We don't pay attention to it.
Because it's always been there.
It's always been there. But to your point, it's a subtle point that someone would have to actually give it some credence. Oh, I remember that flag. She took it down. We don't think about that flag.
In South
to
Carolina.
think that it really meant something to the average black person,
right?
Not really.
Because you're from. See, Professor, you walked into something that's so important out there across America. We're so institutionalized into accepting certain things because, for the most part, when we get to them, they've just existed.
Right.
There were people in the black community that didn't understand the issue of, well, why are you fighting about getting on the back of the bus? We've always sat on the back of the bus, and the bus arrived at the same location at the same time. What's the big issue? If everybody can just get along, you sit where you want to sit, we'll sit where we want to sit. But to other people, they identify the injustice of it. That's the flying of that flag.
Well, I get that part, and that's a good point. But let me take that to task with. Is it the white liberal that wants to say, I took that down so they can always, hey, look what I did for you? Because
anybody going to do that.
It's not that we didn't think it meant anything. It always been there. It didn't affect us either or. The fact that it's down, it's still South Carolina. It's still white boys that you can't deal with.
But there's a level of consciousness that goes with some of the symbolism. And so if you're not aware of what the symbol means to everybody, it may not mean anything to you, because you're thinking, oh, it doesn't matter. But to the white person looking to remain an oppressive kind of authoritative superiority state, it's a reflection on a time when they were fighting to preserve slavery. They get what it's up there for. In the black community, it never meant anything really to them, because really that flag, from a governmental standpoint, it only existed for a short period of time. I mean, maybe 2.5, 3 years, and during the Confederacy, and then the flag really came down. It doesn't come back up until much later, used as an oppressive symbol, so to speak. When capitals raised that flag back above their capitals and things of that nature, and that was probably after most of the Union soldiers who had fought the defeat the Confederacy were long gone. It's kind of like our feelings about maybe, let's say, Pearl Harbor. I don't have a visceral reaction to it because I wasn't alive when it happened. It's not part of my life experience and so on and so forth. But for those people that did, it's a big deal. 9/11 is that way. My kids kind of look at 9/11 and think about the significance, but they're like, I wasn't alive when that happened. Why don't we stop for every other major American disaster and recall the victims? I mean, and I said, well, because we're still remembering the people because they were alive, and their families remember it, and a lot of people around. So that's going to be, I think. I also thought that, I thought DeSantis made a big comeback in this. He did much better. He looked like, of all the people up there behind Nikki Haley, the next complete package. He looked like, okay, I can cover all the day. And he was so well prepared because he went on the attack, he addressed questions, and then he circled back to what he would do, and then try to rely on his experience in Florida. So I thought he and her, Vivek, we got the same kind of, rambling, I'm young rhetoric. The guy from North Dakota, I felt bad for him because they kept forgetting him.
Yeah, and he reminds me of not Bert on Sesame Street, but whatever that the trash can one.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not.
It's just the
Cookie Monster. What was in the trash can?
Somebody was, but I was like, this guy's just. And he was bothered because they weren't giving him the time.
And he was not.
Had to jump in there, and I get it. But
and I thought the moderators did a horrible job of one, targeting the questions to people to generate a debate.
Right.
That was one I thought they did a horrible job, and how they managed to measure out the time and get everybody involved. I just thought overall it was too chaotic, but for an eye test, not a lot could have come out of that. Look, we're at the 15-minute mark. We're gonna roll right on through. I know y'all are used to us taking a big break at that time. We're gonna get to these poll numbers. The professor's done his research. Lay it on me, Professor.
Okay.
Break down the poll numbers.
So these are Washington Post and ABC news polls, and it has Trump 10 points ahead of Biden.
Nationwide.
Yeah, now again, this is
Washington Post.
Yep.
Okay.
52-42.
Okay.
And so the reason why that's double the bad news for Democrats is because we know what he's doing to the Republican primary field. He's demolished them.
Right.
He's up by 40 points on the second place.
Mm-hmm.
And if this polls, and this is supposedly the same poll that had Biden up 12 points before the 2020 elections. Same poll. So if it's anywhere near right, but other polls have it more in the statistical dead heat, Biden and Trump.
Right, yeah.
But with his poll numbers being down, with Biden's poll numbers being down, you don't want to be in a head-to-head combat with this guy who seems to have a chokehold on his base.
Uh-huh.
Second place can't even crack 15%.
Okay.
So it's all about Donald Trump. And I heard an interesting thing on, and I hate to be that one, but yeah, I was on TikTok and I saw one of these content creators. They're the most clever people. What they say people have been asking them to opine on, and but he made a point. You notice when they were indicting Trump, people were saying, "Hey, man, every time you guys indict him, his poll numbers bump up." And then they kept doing it. First indictment, second indictment, Trump goes up in the poll. Fourth indictment, up in the poll. And it's like, they decided not to indict him anymore. They decided just to go ahead with the charges that they have.
What do we have left out there? I mean, I'm sure something else he's done. Now, why do you think the indictment would take his numbers up?
Because I think people are seeing that right now it's a political or a targeting what is the phrase? Pretty much a political opponent. And they know that they're doing that to bring him down. I think most people understand, I think it's pretty much played out why his poll numbers go up, is they're doing everything to get him out of the race. That is the biggest
Now, why would that not be the same argument for Biden? Why would Biden, the efforts to impeach Biden and all that stuff, not make his numbers then go up? Because if it's an effort to get him out of office.
Right, but there's some circular conversation that we're going to have because it's ageism. it's ageism, and people understand that Biden, and I've said this before, I said this when Biden's ideas, him and the Green New Deal, him and all this stuff, these aren't Joe Biden, a 50-year politician. These aren't his ideas. He can't even relate to them. He doesn't understand those. He's being told what to do. So his age, and that's why his poll numbers are going up.
Thank you, Basil. Thank you, Basil. Listen, the music means time to take a break. We're going to take a quick break, come back on the other side. I'm going to try to explain to the professor why he may be a little bit wrong about that. And then we're going to roll on through all the other issues of the day. This is In Touch News Radio, reality radio. Everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this quick break.
You can listen to it cruising full of sweet, slow jazz. Today's R&B, fun to
All my music on one station.
news and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to marfa.org/here for you. You've been injured. You deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Parrish from the Law Office of Clinton Parrish. For a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Parrish, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at ParrishLawOffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Parrish, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview. Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer. I got to make the leg work for you. I tried to learn the ones before, so believe me. 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen and sign down. 1-800-361 Rick. That's 1-800-361-42. Never word from the point forward. Just reply. Just ask Ricky. Plus your boy stay by. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 1-800-361 Rick. Call Ricky. Ask Ricky for legal medical referral service. Doctors and lawyers are not there. We're trained in handling auto injury claims. Any best medical treatment and recovery. Now 1-844-361 Rick. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky. When it comes to reality radio, everyone's a star.
I know that's right.
On your smooth soul and R&B station. On the World Wide Web.
Access granted.
In Touch Radio.
Yes, I am back in the studio. I didn't come in solo either. I brought in the professor here with me, and we're just trying to get things, trying to get through the issues of the day. We're just talking about the debate, and we could talk about that for the whole show, because there was a lot in there, I think, to get out. I guess, Christie's still being paid to make sure that Trump's under attack, and then we have Trump doing his own event with his, what were those people, they brought in the non-union workers that turned out to not really be workers or unions, and then the workers who did came, they were threatened to be not paid if they didn't show up.
Yeah, I don't even believe that.
Yeah, they showed the paperwork. They sent a message out to everybody. You have to go to if you want to be paid. If you want to be paid,
that's a caller.
You gotta show up at the if you gotta show up at this doggone debate. So
and somebody had that paperwork?
Yeah, they showed the memo they sent out to all the folks. Anyway, we got a call on the phone. Caller, good morning. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning.
I am fine, Latanya. What is on your mind this morning, Latanya?
I was listening to the broadcast, listening to the earlier. I was wondering how you feel about actually taking watching the debate the night before, and if it actually makes a difference in who they actually vote for. Because the next day after the debate, you realize that whether it's Republican or Democrat, everybody's watching for either party, and the next day they discuss it, and it's as if it was just entertainment. So do you feel that actually matters about who they're going to vote for? Can it change a vote? Even change a party for that matter? What do you think about that, guys?
That's very interesting you put it that way. There's absolutely entertainment value to it that they put out there. But let me ask you, did you catch the debate yourself?
I didn't.
Okay, good.
Because
Got it. So
wait,
she said not her party.
Okay.
Wait, hold on, wait a minute. Say that again, Latanya. It's not your what? It's not your party, Professor. So she's not going to watch that. I think this is all about information, and a lot of people have no idea who these people are.
I'm an independent.
The guy from South Dakota, I've never seen him before, and a lot of these people are obscure. They may not become the president, but they could end up in cabinet positions, ambassadors, attorney general, some of that kind of stuff. So there's some value there. But I think most of that, what we see in this debate, is pure entertainment. They act like it the whole time, and I like a good fight. I like a good food fight and some chicanery. So I like tuning into it though myself.
To that point, Attorney, I spoke about the entertainment factor because if the less people talk about it, it's all entertainment. I know that's the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wonder if people look at it when they're that way, or can it actually change your mind as to who you vote for?
So it can. Now you can definitely up there because like a couple things I indicated is Nikki Haley she makes it clear she can hold her own with these men. That's a question I think a lot of women want to know. Can this woman, if we were to elect her, can she hold her ground if she's in on the world stage or political stage with men and the other things, how they respond to pressure and stress. And for example, DeSantis looked horribly, overly mashed and sweaty and just icky in the first debate, and they got him calmed down, got him relaxed. He sounded and looked a lot better. And some of the other folks, like Tim Scott, you met Tim Scott, he came out and confirmed his coon image. He sounded as much of a coon as a lot of people think he is. So I think people can change their opinions in the debates. And on the backside of this thing, and the Republicans, so they're up there because of polling. So they've got to increase their contributions by 40% to be on the next stage. So if you're not, so one of the things they've got to do is get more money. Now, I may actually send some money to people because I want to hear like I want Chris Christie to beat up on Donald Trump. So I might send him $1, So I want to send him $1, and that helps him. The number of contributors helps him stay on the stage, though. What would make you want to watch if you were LaTanya? What would make you want to watch a debate? What would get your interest and say, I want to watch this?
I haven't watched debates in the past. It just seems like right now, just I guess that's what I'm saying now, but that's all the candidates. I think we need some additional candidates on both sides, Republican and Democrat.
Really?
That was why I like interesting.
Go ahead, Professor.
So, LaTanya, can I ask you this? I don't know if that was just kind of veiled, but needing new candidates, are you alluding to ageism and Biden might be too old and Dianne Feinstein hadn't, passed yesterday and not making light of that, but, it speaks to ageism and people dying in office at 90. Is that what you mean by needing new people?
Well, actually, that's what I want to hear.
So when you made the comment about needing new people on both sides, Democrat and Republicans, was that kind of veiled because there is a growing resistance to Biden being the nomination because of his age, and then when you factor in Dianne Feinstein passing at the age of 90, Mitch McConnell freezing up on the mic, and they due to health issues probably. Is that what you mean by, or some part of what you mean by new blood or new people?
Not so much age, and that's, you're kind of breaking up, but just across the board in a lot of different areas. Definitely age, race, overall Democrat. I would like to fight previous one because of the objective votes in my studies. So that's nice, but it's just not so far off and not so far out. Just to have here's some objective views about what's really going on in this country and in the world.
You mean like straight in the middle? Right, yes.
One of the what you're saying and what you're saying. Just not trying to blind eye because you're a Republican or you're a Democrat.
Absolutely. And I think, most Americans are in that place, and unfortunately the media is selling clicks and watchers and viewers, so oftentimes that gets buried in the entertainment that they're putting forth. So, well, Tanya, we thank you very much for listening. Keep listening in. Feel free to give us a call back anytime that you want to take issue with the professor or congratulate me on some comments I've made. We really appreciate our listeners. You have a great rest of your weekend, LaTanya.
Thank you.
I like that. She wants objective up the middle. And we need to hear more from people who are kind of regular people. We sometimes
not you pollinating it.
Well, I can't help myself, man. Clearly she wanted to talk to me. But we appreciate all the listeners that listen in and more so the callers. that call in, because this show is really about what you think. And she put some perspective. She talked about, I think it's hard for anybody to like what we hear in politics because it's all so negative. It's all so negative. They tried to go neutral with Dianne Feinstein dying, but even in that, people had some negative stuff to say. So it is what it is. Listen, we're going to take another break, come back on the other side, and try to see if we can get to some of these other issues like Dianne Feinstein, what they're going to do to replace her. Joe Biden, was he asleep behind that when he was speaking the other day?
I think he had indigestion.
Whatever it may be. We'll take this break, come back on the other side. This is In Touch News Radio. Reality radio about to do a stop. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Being number one. When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Hey, this is Atty Right, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Jazz at Miss Connie's house is brought to you by Ray Williams Funeral Home, providing the highest quality, professional, and caring service for your family. Call Jeffrey Rhodes at 813-253-3419. That's 813-253-3419. Or visit him at 301 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida. Ray Williams Funeral Home, for the finest care and quality service.
In Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
All right, we're back live on In Touch News Radio, reality radio, about to be a star. Again, I'm so happy to be back in studio with my co-host, Professor Tony Seabrook. The semester's well on the way. Hopefully, the students are doing well. Are they getting a good education this semester?
Well, enrollment is down, actually.
Really?
We've been going through most state colleges, universities and education across, I think in general, been experiencing just a downtick in enrollment. There are a lot of players in the education field now. You can go on and get LinkedIn certifications. Google has a number of certifications, so people are not really seeing the true value of a degree.
Traditional education around.
Right, so they think it's easier, and in some cases, especially non-traditional students, you may not need a 4-year degree. Certification may do you well, but anyway, that's what they're dealing with. So.
It may do you well in doing the thing you want to do to make a living. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to learn the complex concepts and thought processes to understand a mortgage application.
Right.
To understand, how you deal with your retirement planning and benefits, how you deal with some of the other issues of life. I think there's no replacement for the mental push-ups you do in college that just strengthen your mind to work through complex concepts and problems to come up with the best use of the knowledge you have and then apply the proper judgment.
Right.
I think that just to me, there's just no replacement of that. And while you may be able to do the thing you want to do for a living, the other parts of life, I think you're going to take some time to develop out and leave you exposed to potential, making some tough decisions. But I hope that whatever people are doing, they're making themselves ready for what may be coming. And our elections dictate that a lot. I don't want to make this all about the Republicans. I was watching that speech by Milley, And I kept trying to see if I could see Joe Biden blink his eyes. Did I see him lick his lips? I mean, he was positioned well, and I couldn't tell. He kind of at church, at church when the deacon is, you can't tell if he's still sleeping not unless he starts snoring. You're kind of looking down and he looks asleep, but he could just be in deep prayer and thought.
It's always the same deacon, just like it's always President Biden.
Yeah. But I think that what'd you think of his speech he made in visiting the union workers? He went out.
I didn't even.
So he went out to visit the. He looked spry. He looked strong. He went out and visited the union workers. What are your thoughts about him actually going to the picket line? Because they said that's never happened before. A president showing up at actual picket line.
Well, if we go back to what we said was that very bad acting performance of the B team. President Biden looked like it was rehearsed. He never looks comfortable walking. So it didn't do much. I mean, and the crowd was small. At least what I saw.
Well, it wasn't a campaign rally. It was a picket line.
Doesn't have to be.
It was a picket line.
If Trump shows up anywhere, like it or love it, exaggerated numbers are always bigger than his. Like it or love it.
No doubt. Now we know that some of that's kind of a mixture of people. Though.
A mixture.
Some of those people don't even know where they're at. What they're at.
What?
They don't even know why they're there.
But why are they with Biden? I mean, why can't Biden pull that same mixed crowd?
Because we're more on the. Let me say this. We don't have nearly
he's not likable.
No, I'm going to say that I'm going to disparage Republican side. We don't have nearly as many weirdos on the Democrat side. They know where they're going and why, and whether they need to show up or not. But
yeah, well, BLM shows up when it's a Republican. So you list the BLM crowd.
Look, man,
then
Hillary said it best years ago. He brought out a bunch of
deplorables,
and they don't know why they're out. They don't know anything about the Constitution. They don't know who's in office. All they know is they're there, and they're there to cause problems.
But oddly enough, when he shows up, that's when the Antifa shows up. So they look like a bunch of deplorables to me. So you got Antifa on this side.
They're not part of the Democratic Party, though.
That's how we like to brand it. Okay.
But they're not part of it. We don't claim them as being part of it. Anyway, we got another caller on the phone. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. Professor and good attorney. This is Carl the trucker. So
good morning, Carl. Good morning.
Morning treat to listen to the show. Yeah.
Now, are you rolling or are you stationary? What? I mean, not in the moment, but are you on the road somewhere? You back at home for the weekend?
No,
I don't want to put your business out there.
I'm on my way back.
Okay, all right, okay. He's officially in the truck then. We have confirmation, listeners. Carl the trucker is a trucker in real life, and he's actually inside his truck at the moment. So what's on your mind this morning, Carl?
When you started the show, you mentioned Tim Scott. This guy, I mean, I can't be entertained by this guy because he voted against the George Floyd bill, so Black Lives Matter shouldn't even come out of his mouth. Anything about, he's for black people. So
yeah, I get
I give him a big A.
I get a big. My heart feels heavy when I see him because I know his role is his role is to give a lot of uncomfortable white people cover with some of the decisions and things they're doing, and not hold them accountable for how black people in this country have been treated, and force them to address the issues, right? And so he gives them cover. He gives them by some of the things that he says and does, and he's just playing for a cabinet position, kind of like what was the doctor's name in Trump's cabinet?
Ben Carson.
Like Ben Carson. He's and notice now. Before that, you never saw Ben Carson, except coming out of a hospital. He was doing work. He got involved in politics to give that cover to Trump, and he's gone back. I don't know where he is. I hadn't seen him in a while, but
yeah, it didn't matter.
And I don't even think he showed up at the family reunion this year. He's probably nowhere to be seen. Tim Scott's in that basket, but Tim Scott, I think when he campaigned at one point had $20 million. That's a lot of money they put in Tim Scott's pocket to come out and play his role right now that he's playing. As long as the numbers hold up, I think he'll be on the scene. But I agree with you. Who else caught your eye during the debate or that you've heard about that you thought, wait a minute, let's see where this goes? Any of the other candidates got your attention?
Well, just like you said, Nikki Haley, I didn't see the debate, but Nikki Haley, I think she's gonna be a tough boy. She's gonna really be up in the top standing. I think she's gonna pull ahead. I would like for her to, because I want to say that she's more for the Republican Party, not the MAGA Party.
Right. Yeah.
So she's more of a Republican.
She's a little more traditional.
I would want to give her that credit. Right. So if we do want to see change in the Republican Party, we have to have more people like Nikki Haley. Give her kudos. She did. She did pull the Confederate flag down with a song and dance and a little bit of but she did do that. So we're gonna give her her flowers for that. My president really represented when he he supported the union. So Professor, let's see how the polls come out. Within the next week or whatever, after they do the tally for his participation in the union.
Yeah.
So I really think and I hope that he did grab some of those union votes.
Yeah. What about this, real quick? Because what are your thoughts about a DeSantis Haley ticket? If they emerge as the two on the Republican side, Haley can go talk to the more traditional Republicans, and DeSantis gets to spew his populist MAGA stuff, and then they get to claim generational change in that. What do you think about the two of them if they teamed up, Carl?
Well, I mean, they're total opposites. So they're total opposite. I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's something I really have to, teeter with for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, they seem to be the two that, to me, I think could be the most. If you put them together, they bring the two most positive things of all the non-Trump folks. Last thing, Carl, before I let you go is, and I know you're a Georgia guy and you're watching all these things happening in Georgia, but we had one of the people.
Guy.
He has flipped and pled out in the Trump conspiracy case. Do you think there are going to be more people that flip and plea deal out and agree to testify against Donald Trump?
Yes, I think so, because like saying attorneys are not cheap. Attorneys are not cheap, so I think
let's try to take that.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, they're gonna have to cop a plea if they want to, get a good deal. If the court give them a good deal, I think they're gonna take it. And the ones that have the most information probably will.
Absolutely. Well, Carl, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for calling. Most of all, we thank you for keeping that thing safe on the road and making sure our commerce moves around. Have a great rest of your weekend, Carl. We look forward to hearing back from you again soon. That's Carl, the trucker, actually in the truck. A couple of times we've called him. He's been, we get a little beep. He's in a Nissan or something. He's not in a truck, a Mazda somewhere. But clearly he's on the road out there, and one of our longest and consistent listeners. Appreciate it. What do you think about that, Professor? Getting Nikki Haley and DeSantis together.
Well, I like what you said. I think it'd be generational. I think they both would do well in their respective areas. I think Nikki Haley, because Trump, they have to do well with college-educated white women.
She's got those. She can go get those. And so suburban women, she's a mom.
Exactly.
Right.
Then you have DeSantis that could speak. He can hold the military vote because we would need that block. And then I think you're right. He could speak to the MAGA. But here's the thing. It depends on how they as in the courts and whatever these 91 criminal charges or whatever charges that they have against Trump, it's how that plays out, because Trump has to bless that. Trust and believe.
Well, he's not.
Well, no, what I'm saying is
he's not. He's not blessed anything since he's been around.
Right, because he's still a
himself.
contender. I'm not going to give it anything.
But
You
even
have
when
to
he's
be
not
the-
a contender, nothing
Well,
is, you know.
But what we're saying is when the voters, I think the voters are still behind Trump because they see it as purely political. There's nothing else there. It's purely political. So if we talk about this one guy that pleaded guilty, he actually, I think, did he actually do something like with one of the machines? I think he actually tried to open up. Didn't he do?
Yes.
Okay, of course. I mean, that's different. It's not like he was doing, it was more of a, he had a stance.
The best argument I've heard as to why they should indict Donald Trump is the same reason we went after Osama bin Laden. He didn't fly a plane. He didn't come to America, never touched our soil. He was nowhere to be seen, but he was in on the planning and the deal. And Donald Trump was a behind-the-scenes orchestrator. Look,
I don't believe that. You guys believe that, and that's why you guys still. So, but let me tell you about the. Oh, are we taking a break?
Do we need to take a break right now? Yeah, let's do this. Okay. I don't want to, because I don't want to. I want to get it
after the
good.
break. We're going to talk about a couple of things that tie into this, and then we talk about Robert Kennedy switching parties.
All right, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
You've been injured. You deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
Nestled in the heart of West Tampa, the Maduro Marauder Cigar Lounge offers a wide variety of premium cigars from Esteli, Nicaragua. In addition, the lounge offers a relaxed environment for you to come back, lay, chill, and relax and smoke a great cigar. Visit us at our brick and mortar location, 1944 West Main Street, Tampa, as well as online, www.maduromarauders.com. In Touch Radio, the most loved station across the nation. In Touch Radio. Tell a friend. In Touch Radio.
News Radio, reality radio, right to be a star. Professor, you had some thoughts you want to share right before we went to the last break.
Yeah, and this actually ties right into what the last caller talked about. He mentioned his president, and that tickled me. I don't think I heard anybody say, what my president does, because anyway, they would say that Trump's base say that about him. Okay, but let's talk about your president. Here's some old poll, NBC News poll.
Before you do that, you said you want us to trust and believe and rely on polls.
No. Here's the thing. I don't. I have a major issue with polls, and polls bear themselves out. In
Okay. I just want to know what we're doing.
But these were the polls that were favorable to Biden.
Okay.
This one is not. This is the NBC poll.
Okay.
But here's the issue with that. 20%. Biden has a 23% approval of handling, which is obviously severely low, of the southern border. He has his voting bloc. He's at 46% with young people, 46% with women, 43% with Latinos, and 36% with independent voters. All crucial blocks. His poll numbers are down. He's running in statistical heats, and you're telling me that this guy who pled guilty in Georgia is somehow going to bring down the man that you indicted 4 times?
No.
He got 91.
Well, no.
He's still the man.
The poll, right, no doubt about that on the Republican side. Donald Trump has lost 3 straight elections. Donald Trump has lost, including the presidency. The midterms, he's lost. So I don't need a poll to say that Joe Biden is down. America has issues, and in this space right now, there is really no way really to target a response. She got too many people on the other side. He's not going to. We want Donald Trump. We want Donald Trump.
Okay.
We keep beating Donald Trump.
Okay.
So we'll take a Donald Trump. Any day of the week, we'll take Donald Trump.
Okay, so enter ageism. Joe Biden, we just talked about Joe Biden going to sleep. Almost every national stage, Joe Biden goes to sleep.
And that's why we want Donald Trump.
Joe Biden is falling down on stage.
That's why we want Donald Trump.
You have all these old men, and that's why you want Donald
Trump?
Trump?
Only old man you got is Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And between those two old men, we'll take Joe Biden.
Because you can tell Joe Biden what to do.
What reasons that's almost secondary.
That's why Joe Biden is there. If Joe Biden were to have any of his legislation that he ran on in the first 25 years,
a friend of mine was recently getting married. Beautiful wife. I said, man, you have got a really, really attractive wife. He said, man, I'm marrying her for a credit. I mean, you only the thing that you make your decision on is what matters.
Hey, whatever.
Right. So in this case, right, we'll take whatever reason we get Donald Trump. We'll take him for that reason because we beat him repeatedly. These other folks, we can't. They're different. And America is a land of opportunity. People are more apt to vote for the unknown and give it a chance versus the known negative. And that's kind of why I think Joe Biden beat Donald Trump. People say,
Joe Biden didn't beat Donald Trump. That's hence the trial.
Right.
Let's go with this.
And we'll take that, too. We would love that.
We'll always go back to that. If that was the case, why is it that his poll number, if you had that many voters,
I'm going to tell you why. You know the science of polling. First of all, I've never been asked to be a part of a poll.
Me either.
Right.
You're right.
DJ Belzel's here. Have you been part of a poll ever in your life, DJ Belzel?
That would be a no.
Okay, so great. So I don't know the 1,000 people they're talking to. I don't know where they find them, where they get them. It's the same people. We'll leave that where it is. So I don't worry too much about the polls. You know that piece. Once we get on a national level, elections are national, and that's when you're going to be able to see, I think, a better picture. But here's the reality: we beat Donald Trump. And coming into the next election,
you beat him on paper.
We'll beat him on paper again. Then it's the same. Whatever it is, we'll take it.
Look.
If it was whatever it is,
fraudulent ballots. So.
Whatever it is. So
yeah, we're not going away from that. Y'all can talk about you beat him. I mean, he's not president, so everyone agrees with that. He's not president now. He's not at the White House. But I mean, you beat him.
All right, so I cannot let you out of it. So
it's not a racist place and say, but we do fair elections. We're racist, but we have fair elections. You can't have them both ways. I
see that you saved that. You saved that for the end of the show when you know. I'm not going to be able to go into my usual soliloquy about it. I would like to get your thoughts, though. Dianne Feinstein, she passed away. Newsom now has said he's going to appoint a black woman. In the past, I don't know what he does now. What's in front of him? Well, what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know, and I don't really think it makes much of a difference.
But
I hear that Oprah was on his list. Did you hear that?
I can't even respond to that.
And I hope it's not the case.
I can't
why
respond
would you
to
do that? But
I can't.
Yeah, I don't know what difference it makes.
Well, one, if he's going to run, I'll tell you this. My thought is if he's going to run for president, he needs to show he's trustworthy and keep his word. Not that I want to or not. That's what I'll be paying attention to.
Newsom?
Newsom. Last comments. What do you got for us, Professor?
I'll say if Joe Biden is your guy, this is going to be my outtake. If Joe Biden is your guy,
my president,
then Robert Kennedy should have been afforded security when he was attacked, and Robert Kennedy shouldn't have to switch parties because he feels he's being snuffed out. If Joe Biden's your guy, then why won't he debate in his own party?
Yeah, we're not debating. We're not doing that.
Okay.
We're not doing it. Listen, thank y'all for tuning in, everybody. Have a great rest of your Saturday. We'll be back here next week. Thank you.
Tell a friend to listen in. It's